we've got a really exciting announcement today. Almost 9 years ago, we began the work of Bitwise Industries here in our hometown of Fresno, California, with the hope of serving our community and advancing our city. And over the course of that time span, not only have we gotten to do really extraordinary work here in Fresno, but we've gotten to see that work expand to places like Bakersfield, Merced, Oakland, and Toledo. And with all of that work, it has been a springboard into more of the same in other exciting places that we get to share with you here today.
And so today we get to announce that we're going to 5 additional cities to bring Bitwise cities to a total of 10, moving into Greeley, Colorado, Buffalo, New York, El Paso, Texas, Las Cruces, New Mexico, and Cheyenne, Wyoming.
And in each of those places, we are going to be taking the full breadth of the Bitwise work to bear in those cities. And the hope is that just the same as we've been able to recognize extraordinary value in unknown talent, underestimated talent in each of the places we serve today, we'll be able to do the same here. And perhaps most importantly is that over the course of the last several months, we've been able to build relationship in each of these cities to make sure that the things we do at Bitwise are a right fit for those places, and that we can be successful in and for that place in serving people in the same way we have in the 5 cities we're already in.
And so what does that look like in these new economies? It's going to be the full Bitwise model. Technology workforce development and training, the jobs that go with that, actual industry, building and shipping world-class software, technology consulting, community as a service, rooting all of that work in place, building really wonderful castles for underdogs, and really developing the ecosystem for that technology economy in this new place.
And fundamentally, whether it's here in Fresno, in Bakersfield, Oakland, Buffalo, or Las Cruces, or any of the other Bitwise cities, what Bitwise is about today and will continue to be about for the entirety of its history is launching folks from underestimated stories into careers and opportunity in the technology economy. And we believe that has not only a meaningful impact on their lives, on the macroeconomy of their cities, but on the entire country.
To date, we've raised over $100 million to support this work in the cities that we're in.
And with each new city that we're able to serve, we are able to reach more students, which allow us to put more of them to work building world-class enterprise technology solutions for customers around the country and world. And we're able to develop more vibrant facilities in those places that become gathering places for the next generation of technology talent in these cities around the country. The aggregate effect of that is to build a bridge for folks coming from stories of poverty and exclusion into the industry that is driving the macroeconomy of our country, the technology economy. As folks hear the list of cities that Bitwise is now serving, it might be non-obvious, and the reality is, being born in Fresno, California, we're drawn to places others are not. The sort of gritty cities that get overlooked, where we say exciting things don't happen in those places. But what we know is that not only is there exceptional talent to be unearthed in those places, but those places are essential to the future of our country. And so the places that people treat as flyover or less than, those are exactly the cities that Bitwise is designed to serve, and we're excited to announce the additional cities in that category here today.
And as we think about what the future of technology looks like in this country, we know that that talent-labor gap that exists in the technology industry is not only going to be filled by folks who were born along the coasts of this country. Where else are we going to look? We're going to look to these underestimated places, those underestimated people. They will be the future of the technology workforce that will eventually modernize this country's digital infrastructure. Over the last 18 months, we have 4x'd in size in nearly every vector imaginable. In headcount, in square feet, in students served, in number of cities, in revenue, and on and on. And that level of growth has been unprecedented for us, but has a true impact on the people that we serve.
It expresses itself in the number of individuals in the cities we serve that are now in tech jobs, in the number of technology solutions that we've been able to build for customers around the country and world, and then in the physical spaces that now sit at the heart of these cities that are vibrant gathering places, creating hope for a next generation of the technology economy.
Jake and I started Bitwise Industries in 2013. We're both descendants of Mexican immigrants and wanted to take the things that were serendipitous in our lives, landing in the technology economy, and change them into a system that folks that grew up the way that we did could access and accept, feeling a sense of belonging, and change the trajectory of their lives as well.
And to accomplish that, we needed to not only teach people the skills they needed to access opportunity in the technology industry, but we also had to address the non-technical barriers: transportation, childcare, mental and physical health, emotional well-being, thereby creating space in the life of the learner so that they could access skill and ultimately opportunity. Then we knew that we needed to be an example of what it looked like to take folks from non-traditional stories and launch them into exceptional careers in the technology sector. So we hired them, and they have built technology solutions for customers around the country and world in government and private sector. And lastly, to connect this work to the places that we wanted to serve, we knew we needed to build vibrant and robust physical spaces at which the technology industry, the learner and the doer, could gather, could create community, and could build careers and companies. And the net effect of that is that as you train people, as we deliver technology work, and as we create space, we see individual transformation in the life of the learner, and we see macro-level economic transformation in the cities and regions that we serve.
Workforce training builds a representative technology workforce in the places that we serve by focusing on folks who come from a story of poverty or have historically been disenfranchised.
And the work that we're doing there by supporting the student by way of non-technical resources that create space in their lives to actually access the skill and ultimately the opportunity is serving folks who all too often are entirely unserved when it comes to opportunity in the technology industry, with most of our students coming to us out of field, factory, restaurant, or retail work, making just less than $20,000 a year and exiting to a wage of greater than $60,000 a year, able to experience individual transformation, buy a car, buy a house, pay to put their kids through school, really fundamental things that are all too often reserved for folks living in privilege. And as you look at the macro effect of having trained 8,000 students over the course of our history, you see thousands of jobs created, which amount to an aggregate of over $295 million in annual wages being paid out to the individuals that have come through our workforce training program and find themselves now as stakeholders in the digital economy.
The majority of that new technology workforce are female or gender nonconforming, minority, and first generation. These are folks represent the counties that they're from and therefore create almost certainly the most diverse technology workforce anywhere in the country. Enterprise technology consulting is the second component of Bitwise, where we build and ship world-class software and IT solutions to public and private entities across the world.
And the work that we do there often begins with anchor institutions in these cities that we serve, building software solutions for school districts, agribusiness, manufacturers in the cities that Bitwise calls home. And then from there, we're able to sell to customers around the country and world, doing work out of Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, New York, and abroad. That work centers on some key technology categories: modernization, Salesforce, contact center, call center solutions, and of course cybersecurity. And in this moment of economic recovery, we have been able to serve states and cities around the country, whether it's the emergency broadband benefit or broadband initiatives more broadly, where we are endeavoring to ensure that the nation's digital infrastructure reaches those communities and people who have been least served by it to date.
The third component of the Bitwise model is to root all of this work in place. We identify blighted buildings in the center of the city and house our workforce development, technology consulting practices in that space.
We surround our work with that of other tech and tech-enabled firms. And what this does is it creates benefit in three directions. For the student, from the very first moment you walk into class, you have access to an inspiring venue that you didn't expect to be for you or your city, to community, to belonging, and to professional opportunity. For the tech or tech-enabled company, you have ready access to the talent that historically you viewed as your barrier to growth in that geography. And then for the city, you have vitality on a street corner where there was formerly blight. That rooting this work in place is how the things of Bitwise work together to serve the cities that Bitwise calls home. And it couldn't be more important to the work that we do.